this is Dylan Moore, Anima Major of Irida TV, which you can find at irida.tv, and we're going live, and we wanted to discuss the thing that everybody's talking about right now, right? We're at least starting with that, right? The Trump assassination attempt. And more importantly, that I wanted to look at is what seems to be the reaction to this. And not just kind of on the the political, is Trump going to win the election or not sort of thing, but just in the culture that I'm noticing hints of. So first and foremost, I don't think the Trump assassination was staged, and all evidence appears to point to that somebody was messing with the Secret Service in order to allow this situation to happen. I don't think we really need to go over that too much, unless maybe you had something to add to that. Is there any evidence suggesting otherwise of what I just said?
Yeah, I go back and forth on this, but in terms of evidence, I would say I lean towards it was an actual. It wasn't something that Trump expected. It was a real shooting.
Oh yeah, for sure on that. Yes.
Now, where the shots came from, that kind of stuff, I don't know. Like, one thing that I go back and forth on is the shots. They keep saying they found an AR-15 style rifle. So that to me means it was not an AR-15. So
right.
Why would they say AR-15 style rifle?
Because that's scary to everybody.
Right. And I don't think they're knowledgeable enough to actually, because generally speaking, almost every AR-15 that you see out there these days is an AR-15 style rifle, right? Mm-hmm. The only real AR-15 is the original Armalite company manufactured rifle used by the military with a handle on top. Or maybe some of them don't have the handle, but it's like one specific. So all AR-15 style or all AR-15 rifles these days are AR-15 style rifles, almost all of them. But if it was if it was a close enough AR-15, they would have just said AR-15. So I'm not sure what they mean by that. And the shots fired, to me personally, and I also asked another buddy of mine who's pretty knowledgeable on guns. Without telling him my opinion, I asked him, what did those shots sound like? And he said it sounded more like a .22 long rifle, and that was my impression too when I first heard the shots. Also, if it was a .223 caliber that grazed his ear, I think
there'd be more damage
of his ear would be missing. It wouldn't just be, So once again,
is it possible that the bullet itself missed the ear, but like the wind around it was so intense that could have caused the ear to bleed? Where it's like it didn't touch, but it was a millimeter from touching, sort of thing? I
don't know if that's possible. I don't know if the air does that. Yeah, good point. But it would seem to me more like it was almost an ear piercing that he got by a very small caliber, and that indicates it would be like a .22 caliber. And not a .223 caliber. So, and the shots fired, the way the shots sounded more like I would say sounded to me more like a .22 long rifle. Now, obviously, it was far away and hard to tell, just from listening through a computer. But also the grouping of the shots after the first shot was fired was very quick. I don't know.
Boom. Yeah.
It was. It's not easy to do that with an AR-15 or a rifle and retain some sort of close grouping. Again, that is, and it is easy to do with a .22, which has long rifle, which barely has any recoil at all. So okay, so I don't know if that's neither here nor there. Maybe it was a .22. I just don't know why they would say it was an AR-15 style rifle recovered. And then another thing that I thought was strange was the footage of the snipers. I don't know if you saw it at this point. I told you about this footage.
Oh yeah, I've seen quite a bit. Basically, the sniper standing down.
the sniper
supposedly getting orders to stand down.
Yeah, but then eventually he fired, and it almost seemed like they fired immediately as soon as the shooter fired. And in fact, all the shots that I could hear seemed to come from those snipers behind Trump. I don't know if I'm just trying to find footage of that, see if I can share it here. But yeah, okay.
So while you're looking that up, I mean, I feel like in terms to answer the caliber, shouldn't we be able to look at the guy who actually got shot and died and pull the bullet out and figure it out pretty quickly?
For sure.
And then also, if it was a 22, unless he got hit in the head or the heart, typically a 22 is not going to take you out that fast, right?
22, yeah. If it's a very clean headshot, then it takes you out.
Right.
Otherwise,
or a clean heart shot, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise it's more likely you're more likely to bleed out over time if you don't get immediate help. So not a very good assassination rifle, especially from a distance. I would think that a sniper who's hell-bent on killing his target from a distance, it was 130 feet, I guess.
I thought it was 400 feet.
I heard 130, but could be.
Yeah, who knows? Well, and then I think there's a lot of fog of war in this conversation, right? And sure. I mean, there's like, first of all, how did he get on the roof? Like, if it's 130 feet or it's 400 feet, wouldn't that be the typical purview of the Secret Service to be like, we should make sure that the roofs around here are covered? And this idea that it's too steep for a Secret Service agent to go on. Did you hear that excuse? So these highly trained, most expensive security detail on the face of the planet, like, can't handle that.
That woman
roof. Yeah.
Is done, I think, because that was the stupidest thing I've heard during these whole past few days. I don't even know why she would say that. She could have just, declined comment on that. But that was such a stupid excuse. Because
my 4-year-old could get up that roof. Like, give me a break.
That roof that was a dangerous slope, first of all. It was a pretty mild slope. Plus, the snipers behind Trump were also on a sloped roof. Actually, so I'm sharing right now what I have.
Yeah, I'll add it here.
Let's see if... Let me just get my mom real quick. My mom's calling. We're live on air. Hallo?
We get to hear some German now.
Hi. Ja, wir nehmen gerade eine Sendung auf. Ich kann dich danach zurückrufen. Kein Problem. Yeah.
So I did learn German some number of years ago, and I learned Southern German in Austria. And Nima's Berliner accent is really tough for me.
Ja. Ich rufe dich danach an. Bis später. Okay, ciao.
I was trashing on your accent.
How would you know that I have an accent? Okay.
I did learn German. And I know the Germans would trash on my accent because it's Austrian. So.
Well, yeah, of course. So I have this footage here. Am I sharing?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Go for it.
So I got this footage right here.
While Trump speaks.
Okay, so here, right, we see the snipers.
Right.
That were deployed. And this roof is more sloped than the supposed shooter's roof. So.
Yep.
I don't know how she's
going to need an OSHA detail from a roofer to handle that one right there, man. I'll tell you.
I don't know how she's going to explain that. So this is the head of the Secret Service's attitude about securing a perimeter. Is that, oh no, there's a minor slope and it's too dangerous for our agents to be on a minorly sloped roof. This is what she's openly saying in public.
Right.
So what's her
Well, that's what I'm
attitude?
saying is clearly from the inside, someone premeditated this. Like, if
Yeah.
your response is that stupid to like a bait, like, okay, we need to secure the area. Well, how do you secure the area? Well, you don't secure that spot first. Make
Right.
sure that spot's not secure. That's how we typically secure. I mean, it's just, and then when questioned on, the roof was a little tilted. It's just,
It's too dangerous. We're too scared to get on the
yeah.
Secret Service, protecting the most important person in the world. Really, I mean, this is like. So I don't see. I don't think that this woman will be in her job for much longer. I don't see that.
Well, and then this is clearly inside. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, I don't know about the shooter. I don't know if he was a patsy or part of the FBI. I don't know anything about that, right? But clearly, like, there was premeditation here on the count of the Secret Service to intentionally screw stuff up.
Yes,
I don't see any other way to interpret this.
I would say so. Okay, let me see if we can. But by the way, I just want to see if we can hear the shots in this.
Yeah, go for it.
The Secret Service snipers are still facing the gunman's direction.
Can we hear the sound? By the way.
Yeah,
Okay.
we should be able to.
We then see an agent on the north roof pick his head up just before shots ring out at 6:15. Secret Service
Okay, so this is interesting, right? So as soon as shots are fired, it seems like the first shots are fired by this guy here, does it not?
Well, don't forget, if they're so close together, sound takes time to go from point A to point B.
Yeah.
And it's such that 400 feet versus, I don't know, 100 feet here, when they're firing within partial seconds of each other, could screw stuff up.
Yeah. Okay, let's just look at it one more time for the record.
Secret Service agents rush to pull Trump to the shots ring out at 6:15. Secret Service agents rush to pull Trump to the ground.
Well, yeah, that's just too damn hard for me to tell.
Yeah, so the shots that are fired by the Secret Service, they do sound like
Real.
more like bigger caliber shots, but then there's this other grouping of shots that
Okay, play it again.
Alongside or slightly after.
Ring out at 6:15. Secret Service agents rush to pull Trump to the ground.
I don't know if you heard that.
I can't hear the difference.
It sounds
I
like
mean,
clicking. So these first few shots are like pachoo, 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 like really loud, and then you hear as she talks on, you hear this clicking sounds.
do it again.
Ring out at 6:15. Secret Service agents rush to pull Trump to the ground.
I mean, couldn't it have been an echo?
Yeah,
I don't know. You're more gunny than I am, so I defer to your
Yeah.
gunspertise before mine.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even seen the rifle. Why would they not share pictures of the rifle? I don't know. I find it interesting. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, and I think it all just piles up to this is obviously totally premeditated. People within the Secret Service were in on it. The woman who mentioned the sloped roof, I mean, either she's got an IQ of 72 or she was in on it. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
the decision was made to secure the building from the inside. Okay, and what about the roof then? We're just preying on that, I guess.
Right.
Is that the attitude of the city? But what about that roof that's right? Got total perfect.
well, and then what about the people there jumping up and down? Wasn't there a part of that too? Going, there's a sniper, we're pointing at it, there's a sniper. Yeah.
There's cell phone footage of people showing the guy adjusting and crawling up there.
So, total goof-tasticness, right? I mean, so clearly, obviously.
So yeah,
Set up.
once again, in line with our friend Ian Ferguson's theory that these people are being set up somehow. They're being put in these weird situations and then made to say completely stupid stuff to for the public to turn against them, to turn on them, for the tide to turn overall. It's just
Right.
a general theme of what we've been seeing over the past years, and it seems to be escalating now, right?
Well, escalated incredibly, and that's what I wanted to bring up. So first and foremost, like immediately everyone's like, well, Trump just won the election, assuming he doesn't get actually shot on when they try again the second time or whatever, right? And the reigning theory at the moment is there's not enough cheating votes on the credit card of those who want to cheat, if that makes any sense. Like that. Yes, they're cheating when it comes to the votes, but they have to cheat with real ballots, if that makes any sense.
It was like with the 2016 election, right? They cheated. They always cheat super hard, but it just wasn't enough in 2016 to beat Trump.
Well, and then I think in 2016 they didn't actually expect them to win, so they didn't turn the dial up a whole lot. They turned the dial up a lot in 2020, but I mean the incumbent president, particularly one that's been hounded as Orange Hitler for years and years and years, a lot of time the incumbent president has things that you can attack versus the guy challenging him going, well, we don't have any record, but here's the record of the guy who's been there for 4 years. We could attack it, right? So it's not out of the ordinary for the incumbent. I mean, unless he's coming in, with everybody loving him. It's not out of the ordinary for him to have to fight a little harder, and his polling was down in 2020 versus 2016. Well, now the polling is blowing 2016 out of the water, and I think we're still too early to see like how, because the polls are like a week or two in delay, right? We're still too early to see how the polling numbers are going to come out after this assassination attempt. But I mean, everyone's going, well, how many people were on the fence that are going, okay, I'm voting Trump now? How many people who were like, I'm not sure if I'm going to vote at all, were just like, okay, I'm registering to vote. I've had enough of this shit, right? Yeah. At what point are there's, okay, let's say they're able to cheat by 5% because they have that many people, extra ballots on the rolls of dead people or fake people or people who live in two different states or illegal, whatever, right? But there's a 15% swing, right? At some point, the cheating can't cover what's actually going to happen. So the fed upness that I think is represented by that is starting to spill over into other areas, is what I'm noticing. And what I actually wanted to bring up was I've started seeing the libs of TikTok. Nima, you want to bring up the feed from them while I'm chatting or while I'm talking? So libs of TikTok obviously has been this Twitter handle, or X handle now, that is been showing off these crazy teachers for the most part, right? These LGBTQ teachers that are teaching elementary school students. But they have now gone on the offensive in the sense of people who I'll share the screen. Switch to this mode, make it big. There we go. So people who have reacted to the assassination of, oh man, he missed. I wish he didn't miss. Or I saw one that was even saying, oh man, the assassin missed, but at least they hit a Trump supporter behind him, and we're down one less Trump supporter. I'll take what I can get. I saw one person commenting that they're finding where these people work and getting them canceled. Libs of TikTok, what do you call it? Tagging the handle of the employer, whether it's Home Depot or a school or a firefighter or whatever, saying, hey, this person just made this comment and they work for you. Do you really want this person representing your company? And they're getting fired or they're resigning. Now,
by the way, thanks, Andrew. We got a comment from Andrew. He's going to have to catch the replay, but had to drop it to tell you both rock.
Damn straight. Thanks, Andrew. So, Libs of TikTok.
So, like right now, Libs of TikTok is totally focused on the whole DEI issue of hiring women who are obviously unfit for the job of protecting the president. But I've also seen her call out. I mean, she's made it her mission now to go after those libs who.
Well, go to her feed specifically. Are you in her feed specifically right now?
Yes. Oh, maybe these are just responses to this particular post. Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, breaking.
So yeah.
Oh no, not that one.
She's going to have to oversight committee, so that's going to be interesting to hear her repeat that bullshit excuse and explain what she meant by it with the sloped roof.
Keep going down a bit. before we get to the assassination.
This is actually interesting. Trump is now in betting markets in every single swing state. Is now up in the betting markets. These numbers are really important because that's where people are actually putting their money. But local police had informed Secret Service that it did not have the manpower needed. So
keep going. Did I just make it up? Where are all these? Where are all these posts?
Starts giving advice, including medical advice for another person to attempt an assassination against U.S. president.
Oh, okay. Click on it so we can see the replies. Usually, she puts it in the reply if something happened or not. Oh, nothing yet.
This was very recent.
Okay, we find an older one.
He was found with a rangefinder. His parents reported him missing. Attendees reported him to the police. Okay, so his parents said that he was missing. I remember that. Texas just blah, blah, blah.
I'm going to race you to it. Libs of...
Illegals arrested. Thomas Crook's parents called the police. Period poverty doesn't just impact women, periods, blah, blah, blah. Here, meet Alison Scott, a teacher at Ardmore Tigers. She appears sad the shooter missed and wishes he had a better scope.
Oh, yeah. Okay, no, now click on it because I'm looking at the same one. Look at the update underneath.
Update. I have investigated enough. I will be taking her teaching certificate. She will no longer be teaching in Oklahoma.
That's from the superintendent. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, go back and see if we can find a couple more of those.
Yeah, this is the superintendent.
Okay, yeah. No, that's about a mayor. That's going to be a little bit.
Meet Sean Robb Consavage, the mayor of Burnville, Pennsylvania. He reportedly said, "Try harder" after the shooter missed. A petition is going around to get him removed after he allegedly bragged about no one being able to kick him out of office. Let's see if there's an update.
No, I just looked. There's no update.
I mean, look at this dude.
Okay, here's one. Scroll down until you see Home Depot. Yeah, that guy. You'll see it a little more.
Well, here's another one. Tommy Sawyer secures Democratic nomination for Shelby County General Sessions Court Clerk.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to have an update of her resigning yet.
Okay.
I want to find the ones where she's actually been successful getting someone to resign.
Yeah, here, another one. Dallas Police Sergeant Arturo Martinez has been placed on leave for posting Aim Better after the attempted assassination.
Okay, there's two that we found so far.
I mean, it's only been like 2-3 days.
Right. Keep going. I'm looking at them here on my feed. You'll find them.
This is how you deal with fake news, blah, blah, blah. Many will follow. I'm done with... people leaving California. DEI program.
You're almost there. Keep going. So, not her.
She's very sad that the shooter missed.
Oh, wait, yeah. Click on that and see if...
Jennifer Ripper, teacher at Semper Elementary School. She's very sad the shooter missed.
Oh, yeah, this one here. Jeff Kosumo sent a lame email to parents in response to this. Something about vague things of how they use social media.
School board member at the same district posted this. If Joe Biden decided in his official capacity as president that Trump was a threat to national security and had to be eliminated, would he be immune from prosecution?
Here, go back one because you're almost at the Home Depot.
That's the one we just had. The Home Depot. Confirmed this person is no longer an employee. Beautiful.
And then right below that, there's another one.
Breaking. School counselor reportedly said she's disappointed the shooter missed. Says she just resigned. All right, y'all. I resigned. Hope you're happy. Yep. I'm happy. Bye-bye. Meet Jessica.
Oh, yeah, and then down a little further, there's a crazy woman with pink heart sunglasses. Oh, I guess this is the counselor that resigned. Okay, I mean, in any case, I think the point's been proven here is that here's an offensive, right? We've been dealing with this for how many years now? I mean, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years. I mean, it really started spiking up after 2020 during the most incredible disease that ever hit the earth. Period.
And people were banned for disagreeing with really stupid medical advice, and people were banned for doing this sign, if you remember. Those were the crimes of the right, okay? And here's the left calling for the murder of the leading candidate of the other party openly to egg volatile people out there on, which God knows you people have a lot of volatile people on your side. So,
well, but here's the point: is that it's working. Like, it's working in reverse now, and I've seen a bunch of responses to libs of TikTok going, "Oh, I thought you were against cancel culture. This is not what a honorable person is supposed to be doing." And whatever. It's like, are you kidding me?
I'm not.
Like, there's a war happening. People are shooting at us. We finally pick up a gun to shoot back, and you're gonna go. You shouldn't be shooting at people. That's a bad thing. You said you don't like killing people. Why would you? I mean, what?
This is not even on the same level, right? The things that conservatives got banned for were opinions that the left doesn't like, by and large, or even just doing this sign, or really stupid shit. Here are people inciting murder. This is very different. This is something that nobody ever wants anywhere. I've never said that, people should be allowed to incite murder. Even the law agrees with us. You're not allowed to incite murder. It's a fucking crime to incite murder, okay? And no, we're not okay with that. We don't do that shit. And so it's totally justified to go after these people in this manner. It's totally justified for them to, at the very least, have a hard time getting hired or in their jobs. If not more. I mean, these are crimes that they're committing, and these are violent, murderous crimes that they're promoting. So totally different. And now they suddenly are all sensitive about this. This is free speech to them, right? Oh no, my free speech! I'm not allowed to incite murder. Yeah, no, you're not. No, nobody's ever.
Right, but you're not allowed to do this when you're telling somebody that something's okay.
Right, you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to promote changes in immigration laws because that's dangerous to a certain group of people. Apparently,
not allowed to question climate change.
Yeah, right. Because we were all going to die from the swamp ass apocalypse if you question climate change. I mean, these people are so hypersensitive about any disagreement with their stupid ass narrative, while they demand to have the right to incite murder and violence and tear down statues and burn down buildings.
Burn down cities.
That's what the country is really tired of, and what the whole world is going to be tired of sooner than later.
Well, and then I think the important point here is they've been doing that for a long time. They've been inciting murder for inciting violence, inciting this for a long time, but nobody was able to do anything about it. Everybody just stood down to it. And this is the first thing I'm seeing where it's flipping back at them. Like they're finally getting to play by their own rules. And it's working. Right? I mean, you had that one from the Jeff County schools or whatever where they didn't fire the person and they gave the same bullshit sort of story of like, okay, here's our, we're not actually going to look into it. Here's our vague answer policy, how we're going to sort of protect this woman. Okay, yeah, that was the old playbook pre this assassination attempt, which they're still trying. But here's all these other examples where it didn't work at all. They got fired or they couldn't handle it and they resigned. There was one, we didn't see it, of a firefighter who actually had to resign for it. And and I guess I don't think I saw it on Libs of TikTok. I saw somebody responding to it who was like, well, you're going to pick on firefighters? And Libs of TikTok said, the guy who got shot behind Trump was a fucking firefighter. Right? Like, how duplicitous and asinine could you possibly be to be upset about the fact that people who are inciting murder, of a leading political candidate who was the former president, right, which has massive geopolitical instability written into the concept, right? I don't really care
it's a
who
high
you
crime.
assassinate, who's a top political leader. You're creating instability that's going to create chaos for millions of people. Yeah, you're going to get fired over that. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's especially inciting murder against the president is a special category of crime, I believe. I couldn't find it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, but in any case, right? So okay, so going after these people for a righteous cause is good, but at this point, going after these people honestly for even minor things, I don't care anymore, because they don't care. They've never cared, and they never will. They will never understand it until they get a taste of their own medicine. I think.
Oh, Jack Black's brother or bandmate or whatever. Did you hear about that one?
Yeah.
There's another one.
I had it actually pulled up here if you want to watch the unfunny clip of them performing and inciting murder in front of a stage of liberals laughing. I think it's pretty funny to watch.
Which is so annoying because I like Tenacious D.
Make a wish, Canada. Don't miss Trump next time.
Lose some weight, Jack Black. Shave the Mark's beard.
Yeah, eat a salad.
Or a steak. Get some testosterone back into you. God damn.
Yeah, it's very sad how unfunny the dude has become, but it's just. I mean, so just talking about the tide turning. The entertainment regime that used to impress us for all these decades, we all notice that that's kind of over, right? We all notice that the positive associations that people used to have with Hollywood are kind of gone, I think. I mean, it's the glamour is gone. And it's kind of indicative of this entire gigantic shift in global consciousness. The public is no longer satisfied with the old game, right? The old tricks don't seem to work anymore. And part of that is obviously the internet, part of that is decentralization. I think open source actually plays a big role, is going to play a bigger and bigger role in that. Obviously, we talked about cryptocurrency, the decentralization of the world. I think it was easier to fool the people when things were hyper centralized within a few conglomerates, and you had maximum secrecy amongst a small global elite.
Things weren't that bad. Think about pre 9/11. I mean, unless you were in a communist nation or something, right? But pre 9/11, things weren't that bad. Right? You can get a job, you can go to school and get married and buy a house, you can do all that sort of stuff. Now it's like the conditions for living have gotten harder and harder and harder. And okay, there were the lockdowns, and then there was the summer of love, and the the crazy amount of violence and destruction that spread everywhere, right? Yeah. And add that to what you just said of, okay, now we can actually share the information and I mean, just like what we just did now, where it's like, well, what's Nima and Dylan's opinion on this video from 4 different angles? Like, you couldn't do that in 1993.
Right.
Right?
Right. And it's all part of, global consciousness is now receptive to hearing more truths than they were before. They were kind of under the spell of these Hollywood wizards, and that's not working anymore, right? It's like Hollywood is suddenly dark in everyone's eyes now, and weird and unfunny. Like
I don't even know who's going to the movies anymore. Like who's buying their shit?
Yeah,
where they could still get Are they making money on anything that they're making still? Because I know Disney seems to be, shooting itself in the dick one video after another and losing a ton of money.
Some of the Avengers is still doing pretty good, maybe, but yeah, so that's why they keep rehashing the same crap. But they don't really even seem to care, honestly. They keep making one crap film after another, and one cringe remake after another. Oh, we're going to do The Hangover, but we're all with women now. Now we're going to do Ghostbusters, all with women. And guess I have a new idea. We're going to James Bond, but with a woman. Do you have any other ideas than just taking?
We'll make the woman gay.
It's like, oh yeah, wow, that guy's going to get promoted.
Yeah, right.
That idea. It's like all the intelligent people seem to have jumped ship, and there's only retards at the helm now who can't stitch together an interesting or coherent thought or movie or idea or film.
Right. Well, and then it was moving along on inertia. But like I said, and I mean, this is just a feeling that I've gotten, particularly from seeing the reaction from these libs of TikTok getting people fired on, in a good way, right, for doing actual legal stuff and giving them a taste of their own medicine. After this assassination attempt, like, all this has been building up where everyone's like, we understand we live in the motherfucking Matrix, all right? We understand this is all fake. We understand you're trying to control everything. You understand you're trying to kill all of us. We understand that you want total control. Like, we get it, right? But what do we do about it? And now suddenly it's kind of like, now, wait a minute. We got more control than we thought we did.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the feeling I have right now.
This is Saul Alinsky, one of Saul Alinsky's rules, right? You make yourself look bigger than you actually are. This is what the left, the globalists, and the mega corporations have been doing for a long time. But hey, we can actually buy somewhere else. Hey, we can actually compete. We can actually grow organic food. We can actually make quality products and healthy food instead of buying food-like products from international conglomerates that have merged with pharmaceutical corporations to produce, I don't know what the hell they're producing anymore, but it's not food.
Right.
But it took some time, and it's still taking some time. But that's, I think, where things are going.
Yeah,
right?
Some sort of tipping point just happened in that taking of time.
Well, yeah. With this shooting now, right? So you have all the people now exposed out in the open who really were gung-ho on this assassination succeeding. And they're not doing very well anywhere. Like they are so deranged, they will say the stuff out loud, but they don't mean to. They didn't
thinking because they've been protected this whole time. They've been a protected class the whole time, and they don't realize
so
that they built the guns that are being turned around and aimed at them.
I just want to
what do you got?
Draw some parallels, because we're talking about the U.S. right now, but we're seeing similar stuff going on in Germany, for example. The AfD party is rising in the polls. It has risen the polls quite high now, almost double. And
this is the in quotes far right party that everyone is screaming up and down are Nazis, just like hit Trump, right?
Which far right just means you disagree with the regime, the establishment, basically. But now what's interesting also is there's a new left-wing party, a new populist left-wing party. At least that's where the mainstream puts them politically. That has formed, called Bündnis Sarah Wagenknecht, or BSW in short. And they are surging in the polls very rapidly after they've just formed. And they are against mass immigration, against climate propaganda, against LGBTQ child trinification and gender ideology, against COVID lockdowns, against vaccine mandates, against money for Ukraine. I mean, almost everything they are. I would take this party over any established right, even more.
They just want more government spending and social services than the AfD wants, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, so I really don't care, honestly. So, oh my God, oh no, you're going to do some more welfare spending. Oh, no, how terrible. No, but on the important things that has affected our lives and our livelihoods like nothing else, they're solid. They're a real left-wing alternative, which I've been wondering, when are the Democrats in the US, when are they going to decide to actually become a real alternative to the Republicans? Because it's not impossible. There have been people on their side. They've just been sort of
They've been weeded out.
for some reason.
Yeah.
But, so it's doable. And the AfD and the BSW in Germany, they are now together in some states. They, if you take them together, they're close to 50%. And the established parties are going to have a hard time, or it's actually going to be kind of impossible for them to form coalitions in certain state elections that are coming up pretty soon. I can actually share some thoughts.
Yeah, go for it. While you're doing that, I wanted to address why the Democrats haven't been doing that over here yet. You're sharing nothing. Oh, there we go.
So, here's the most recent polls. AfD 18%, you're 16%, which in the last election they got only 10%. And then here's the new party, BSW, 8.5%. Okay, that's the federal level. It's going to take some time.
That's 25% though at the federal level.
Pretty good, yeah. More than so. Now, if we look at very critical upcoming state elections, there's one big coming up in Sachsen here. And we can see AfD has 30% and the BSW has 15%. And BSW is very new. And together they've already 45%, okay? Look at what a joke is. The CDU, the conservative option, 29% in Sachsen.
That was Merkel's party, right?
Yes. And the SPD, which is the current governing party, they are reduced to 7%. They're about to lose their parliament seats. If they lose 3 more percent, they're not going to be in the freaking state parliament in Saxony at all. Similar for the Greens. Okay, the FDP, the so-called libertarian party, which it's not at all. They're just establishment dorks. They are out. They have no votes at all in Sachsen. And then the mainstream left, 3%. But then AfD, 30%. BSW, 15%. And then there's also Sonstige, which is others, which is going to be interesting what emerges there. This is what the German regime is terrified of. AfD, 30% in the Saxon parliament. And
is the Verfassungsschutz, there we go, saying anything about this new leftist party yet?
No, not yet. No, as far as I know, not yet. They have not. They're probably going to start investigating them too. But
I want to explain what I just said too, because so that the Verfassungsschutz, I haven't spoken German in a long time, is something like it literally translates to the protectors of the Constitution, right?
Yes.
But they're really like a secret police.
Yeah, they're the domestic spy service, basically.
Domestic spy service, and they're the ones that have been coming out calling. Are they calling the AfD like domestic terrorists, or
yes.
What are they called?
Yes, they have designated AfD as right-wing extremists, and so they're spying on them officially. They've officially announced they're spying on them, infiltrating them, sabotaging them. So
this is kind of like the FBI making an open statement saying it's our open policy that we're going to be investigating the Republican Party because we're terrorists.
We like legally put spooks and spies all throughout the Republican Party. They're fake and they're there to record people and to honey trap people and to basically destroy the party from within. That's what they're doing. And meanwhile, the party...
And they're open about it. I mean, of course they're doing that here, but they're open about it in Germany.
Yeah, they're
right?
officially doing. And here the party is surging and surging. Another big election that's coming up on September 22 is in Brandenburg, which is the state that surrounds Berlin. where the AfD currently polls at 24%, the BSW at 17%. So once again, together, they're up in the 40s. Look at CDU, 18%, SPD, 19%, Green, 7%. They are not going to be able to form a governing coalition under these circumstances. I mean, it would be a very weak coalition with a very dominant AfD.
Yeah, it'd be chaos, maybe similar to what France is about to go into.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about France thing. So I just want to say that this party in Germany has been under constant harassment by the German authorities, under constant surveillance, constant malignment, constant physical attacks, death threats, destruction of properties, all kinds of terrible experiences that these people are going through at the moment, and it's only escalating. And the party is getting stronger and stronger, and they're gearing up for the protection of democracy. They're gearing up to ban the party, to ban the most popular party in several states and the second most popular party in the country for the protection of democracy. They want to ban this party.
I feel that democracy is protected when that happens.
Yeah. So, okay, ban them. But I'm just saying the general trend, it's not going to go away, right? But this is how these Molochian people operate, and their brains are so dull.
There's only one solution: kill it, destroy it, smash it down. Yeah, that's all they got.
And if it doesn't die, then smash it more with the same hammer.
If it's making it stronger, keep smashing it with the hammer. Yeah.
And so now, like you just brought up France. Okay, France, similar situation. The National Rally, which I think only 10 years ago or 13 years ago had maybe 3 seats in parliament. They now are the third strongest faction in the parliament. And they were about to win this election for parliament. But the far left and the so-called moderate center parties, they banded together, right? So much for being moderate and center. And no, we're not. We don't prefer the left to the right. No, you do. They banded together to pull candidates so that the National Rally would, in the second round, and not end up winning the majority, even though they got by far the majority of all votes. Okay, so they've schemed once again. The National Rally has grown stronger. They're scheming in Germany. AfD has grown stronger. They're scheming here. They tried to kill Trump. Trump has only grown stronger. So, I mean, are you going to tell me that there's not?
It's whack-a-mole, and that I think the hammer, they got one tool.
But I'm just saying, is this not a global phenomenon of global consciousness change, or is this just a coincidence?
Well, it's at least Western. I mean, I can't speak to China, and I can't speak to Russia. Maybe Japan's experiencing something similar, right?
Sure,
but,
Western civilization.
Yeah, but at the very least, it's a Western phenomenon, yes.
I mean, we could also talk about Argentina Milei, who has so far actually been able to bring down the inflation, which is, I think on our call, I predicted that at the very least with his cuts, they're definitely going to bring down inflation. Now, questions is he going to do dollarization, all that stuff. I think he is doing the tax cuts, apparently. We can do a separate show on that. But obviously, it's a turbulent time in Argentina. But as far as, just general direction of things, I think that he represents the similar kind of sentiment that we're seeing here. Just an anti-globalist, so-called progressivist ideology that has become an institutionalized state religion. It comes with the whole package of things. There comes climate change, gender ideology, mass immigration, scientism, vaccines. Like you get unfortunately, there's the stereotype of people who they believe in one thing, they're gonna most likely believe in all the other stupid ideologies, regardless of how dumb they are, regardless of how disproven they are. But the population has had enough of it. Clearly, I mean,
we should say a significant portion of the population has had enough of it, because another significant proportion still likes to worship at the altar.
Growing segment of the population in the West, using these 3 examples that we just looked at, I think it has had enough of it.
So I'd like to move the conversation along into something I heard from Alex Jones, wonderful man that he is. He was being interviewed. I believe it's called the Tom Dillon podcast. I never listened to it before, but it popped up on my feed, and I was listening to it. This was right after the assassination, but before the RNC convention was when it was recorded. And Alex pointed out something very, Alex Jones-like, which I would believe to be accurate, right? Is that they failed at this attempt. Alex, his big thing is they're going to try to poison Trump next. If they can't poison him, the next thing they're going to try are car bombs. Like, okay, he's in the whatever center, he's in the Mar-a-Lago, full up a truck full of C4, and just drive it in there and explode the whole thing. If Trump's smart enough to keep a mile perimeter with cement blocks or whatever around wherever he is, and they can't do that, the next step is to start car bombing and having terror attacks, because he pointed out the car bombing is actually easier because with like a shooter, you have to find a patsy patsy that's all screwed up, that has been guided for the last 2 years and honeypotted and blah, whatever. With you just need a remote control for the car bomb, right? Yeah. Start blowing up black churches in order to blame it on MAGA extremists, white supremacist stuff, right? And one thing that also want to kind of shift this conversation to more systematic politics is that regardless of Trump assassination, regardless of Trump at all, let's say Trump wasn't even in the running and wasn't even a part of this, is that the long-term plan has been and continues to be promoting this domestic terrorist, domestic extremist, white supremacist thing so we can get laws and quasi-laws in place. And what I mean by that, you listen to our other shows and you'll understand what I mean by that. One of them in particular is, what was the name of that show? Why the ADL loves domestic terrorism or something like that. There's a picture of Jonathan Greenblatt and a grenade on the thumbnail, if you want to go back and listen to it, but is to get it into law, de jure law or de facto law, that anybody who gets hit with this domestic terrorism label can immediately be, canceled is what they're getting right now, but I'm talking like actually arrested and locked up and probably executed at some point in the future. And the narrative has to continue building in order to push the policy-making apparatus, which is not the sexy thing which is in front of our face. The sexy thing which is in front of our face is the assassination attempt. It's the presidential election. It's stuff like that, right? It's this really boring policy stuff that happens in the background, regardless of whoever is in the foreground, supposedly running things. That's still going on, but I think the worry here is if someone like Trump gets in, he might have the wherewithal to start reaching back and affecting actual policy. And they're freaking out so hard that they're like, speed it up, so let's do these events of and Alex Jones pointed out that the blowing up black churches is specific because that's the rhetoric right now, that all these MAGA extremists are super racist and they just hate black people. They just hate black people. That's the version that you probably find on The View, right? And I guess the question is, if it does come down, pray to God he's wrong, right? But if it does come down to this, how do we, who are starting to feel that the tides are turning, like, oh my God, we're actually getting an advantage here, and this gets flipped around, how do you react to that? How do you deal with that? And I think what's super duper duper important is not to get up in arms about anything. Do not fall for a honeypot. Don't fall for, show up at your state capitol with your guns sort of thing. Don't fall for another J6. Don't do any of that. Now is the time to keep super duper calm, and we disavow any political violence. Because that's what they're pushing with this domestic extremist narrative is that they're pushing for political violence. Everybody needs to disavow political violence. We disavow political violence. We disavow political violence. In fact, cis, super straight, white males disavow political violence. Stamp it on the frickin' back of wherever this is.
Yeah, and I mean, if you run into people who say that it's time to do something now, let's
Call the Fed.
Yeah, that's the Fed, right? It's like no doubt that's the Fed right there. You call him out in front of everyone. Shut up, Fed. Go away.
And even if he's not a Fed, call him a Fed anyway, right?
He's most likely a Fed, right? The people who show up and go, let's bomb the synagogue. Let's do it, man. The time for talk is over. It's time for action now. Those kinds
Fed.
of people, you know that. Yeah.
That's a honeypot. It's entrapment. It's a Fed, right?
For sure.
Hey, let's have 12 of us go kidnap the governor of what was it, Minnesota, or was it Michigan? I can't remember. Gretchen. Whitmer, yeah. And then, 9 out of the 12 were FBI members.
Yeah, the other 3 showed up for the free hot dogs or something. But yeah, I think that's already. So Alex Jones, by the way, he always says these kinds of things when something happens. Always, he's in full alert mode, understandably so, and he. So take it for what it's worth, right? So you always think
exactly.
They're gonna do good. They're gonna start doing false flags everywhere and blame the Patriots. But the thing is that, okay.
While you're thinking of that, I just
I'm
one last
call.
point.
Sorry, I'm getting a call right now, work-related call. Can you keep going, and I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah. I guess I'll belabor it instead of making a quick point. The point for me is that, forgetting Alex Jones for a second, forgetting Trump for a second, and all that sort of stuff, what's very, very important is we don't fall for these stupid honeypots. Like Nima was saying, if somebody's coming along and is like, oh, the time for talk is over, we need to take our guns and we need to go march on the thing or blow up the whatever or kill the Fed. Don't engage. Make fun of others who are thinking about engaging and call the person doing it a Fed. Even if it's like legitimately a person who isn't a Fed, I don't know how you would know one way or the other. Call them one anyway, right? I remember reading this poll post. I don't think I'd be able to pull it up in time right now. And of course, with a poll post, it's entirely anonymous. You have no idea what's true or what's not. But somebody on poll claimed to be working, I believe, for the FBI in these like counter domestic terrorism unit, something or other, where they're basically like tracking memes and following people who post like Pepe the Frog, the dorkiness that's going on at places like the FBI. And the guy was pointing out in the post, he said, you guys, being the poll anons, right? You guys don't understand how much of a problem you are to these actors in the government, to the people working in the government. They have absolutely no idea what to do with you. I work with them, and they have meetings and discussions and presentations where they're talking about stuff like, okay, how do we guide the memes? And if we make Pepe the Frog do this, or the Giga Chad meme do that, can we guide the conversation in a certain way in order to control it? And the guy emphasizes, who's making the post, that these people are entirely clueless. But he did point out is that the only effective thing that the feds have figured out what to do is to start calling everybody a Fed, right? So this is one way to break up a we'll call it an activist organization, right? Is if you get a Fed in there and get that Fed calling everybody else a Fed, then everybody starts fighting each other. Nobody knows what's going on, and the whole thing breaks up. In fact, this actually, I was quasi-related to this. Here's a fun story from the past. I lived in Vermont for about a year. And for those who don't know, there was a brief moment that Vermont, this tiny state that continues to be tiny with like nobody in it, used to be its own republic. It used to be its own country. And this is like 2010. There was this movement in Vermont for a secessionist movement, that there was this political party, the secessionist political party in Vermont, that wanted to get into power. And I'm talking about Vermont seceding from the Union, Nima. Let me start it over so you can hear it.
Yeah.
So when I was living in Vermont, I was there at a time when there was literally a secessionist movement in Vermont. Vermont is going to secede from the Union and make its own country. And apparently Vermont, once upon a time, for 5 minutes or whatever, was its own country before the United States became ratified, right? And my landlord, the dude I was living with, was involved with these guys, and he had his own band. His band literally wrote the song, the secessionist song that was like the main theme for this political party, right? And he had a party one day on the property, and all, you know, the guy running for governor or the guy running for lieutenant governor and all these people showed up to this party. So I met the guy, right? And the whole thing died. The whole thing died.
Thanks, Sticky Hulk, by the way.
What's that?
Sticky Hulk just said, "Love your content, guys."
Thanks, Sticky Hulk.
Thanks. We love you back, Sticky Hulk. Say hi to Lou Ferrigno.
So the reason the whole thing died is because everybody in the organization started calling each other a Fed. And you missed what I was talking about. That sorry, everybody, you get to hear it again. Let me explain it to Nima. I saw a poll post some time ago, obviously anonymous because that's all that they do. The poll post was some guy claiming to work, I believe, in the FBI with the, in quotes, counter domestic terrorism unit, where the people like analyze memes and try to figure out how to post memes on poll to guide things one way or the other. And he was emphasizing that
institutionalized shit posters.
Yes, these feds have absolutely no idea what to do with the shit posters. Like they are completely clueless. Yeah. Like they're having these like scientific sounding meeting. Like, what are our tactics and strategy to do? Like there's nothing that they come up with except they have one thing that works, which is to start calling everybody a Fed. And that led me to the Vermont story, where in retrospect I can look back at that everybody started calling each other a Fed and the whole thing just disintegrated, right? And what I suspect is maybe one Fed got in there and started calling everybody a Fed and got everybody to fight, and it just imploded, right?
Well, yeah, this is ancient counterintelligence, right? This is a tactic to invade an organization and identify points of contention and create factions, ideally two factions at the beginning within the organization. Anytime you see like an excessive push towards creating division that seems unnecessary, it's very likely a counterintelligence style Fed operation, or it doesn't even have to be Fed. Could be a private.
Anybody could do it.
Operation, right? Could be so
corporate espionage. Yeah.
Corporate. I keep bringing up the example of the Bitcoin block size wars. That seemed to me like an obvious example of that.
Before you do that, let me just finish with this point. The point I wanted to make is, when I'm saying if somebody calls for violence, to call them a Fed, I was telling the story to emphasize that is a very effective way to neutralize them. Even if theoretically they're not one, you can still call them one to neutralize them. Okay, talk about blockchain.
It was just a point, like to me it seemed very strong indications at that point when the block size war started, which was basically, I think, around 2015, 2016-ish. There were certain people in the community who started saying that if we don't raise the block size from 1 megabyte to 20 or 50 megabytes or whatever, then the blockchain is going to get clogged up and the whole system is going to break down, which never happened. And it was a very hysterical push for a change a big change within the blockchain network that didn't seem as urgent as they were trying to make, and that created factions. And that actually, there was a split of the Bitcoin blockchain at the time that created, this is why Bitcoin Cash exists today, which is an altcoin where they raised the block size to 50 megs, and people still use Bitcoin. The vast majority stuck with Bitcoin, and it just ended up fizzling out. And so it probably was unsuccessful, you could say. But anytime you see these kinds of divisions, this is so scientific. This is such a ironclad methodology that they apply without, like you just said, they have no clue about memes. And this is the power of memes, the power of art in general. This is kind of where, because the technocrats the progress of the globalists. They envision a world where everything can be calculated, everything can be made mechanic and robotic, and AI can dominate at the end of the day. And so politics won't be necessary anymore, right? People can just be manipulated to do this or that. But
from an unbiased source. It's not politics because it's unbiased.
Right. Yeah, I think the bias is ultimately that they are satanic and they want to invert everything.
Yeah, they're totally biased. They're absolutely biased. They've got some dorky thing that they've whipped themselves up into thinking that they're unbiased. Yeah,
sure. No, I mean the people who proclaim their unbiasedness are usually the most biased people in the world, in my experience. The people who just give you the facts and no opinion, they're so clueless. Because they don't even know what a stupid statement that is to say. I'm just giving you the facts. Everyone else is just giving you their opinions. Yeah. As if, like this is something everyone.
As if there's a clear way to 100% separate the two.
Right, and as if that's an objective statement that you're giving me about your own fact. Like, what you're saying is fact, and what everyone else is saying is just opinions. Sure, yeah, okay. So like low tier thinking. But they don't even know that. So they're very.
When I speak, I'm referring to objective reality. But when you speak, it's just whatever's going on in your head. Yes,
right.
Just lame-o manipulative technique.
So
yes.
And also, I've talked on our show often on about Jacques Ellal's book, the Technological Society, or La Technique, how it's called in French. He was very early in predicting that this whole capitalist, communist, like progressive, whatever it is, but the industrial system is moving towards a mechanical, authoritarian management of the society. And he says what stands in their way is human creativity, anything that's human creativity, human clumsiness even. Music that's innovative, that's not artificial sounding, spirituality maybe even, also the law, by the way. How he says, he predicts accurately in his book from 1960, he says the law is probably one of the hardest things to crack for these technocrats, because it's slow moving, it's bureaucratic, it involves juries, it involves really annoying things. So now what are we seeing the technocrats do now? They just go around the law. They're just trying to create administrative edicts, regionalism, to go around the law, to use extra legal means to come out.
Or to meld the powers more and more, right? Where it's like, okay, there was a division between this branch and this branch, but on this point, we've melded it together. So the mayor or the city manager or the governor or whatever no longer has to go to the legislative body. They can just go bleh and make it happen.
Well, and if we don't like what you say on YouTube, then the Google Corporation just bans your account. No law involved. So they're trying to do whatever they can to go around, because charging someone with a crime, which is what they can do, right? They keep claiming that there's dangerous rhetoric here, dangerous rhetoric there. Okay, if it's incitement of violence, that's a crime. You can charge them and have them convicted in front of a jury of their peers. But that's too complicated, right? And that's probably not going to happen. And you know it. You scumbags know exactly that that's not going to happen, because the people you're trying to go after are not actually dangerous. They're just in your way, in the way of your agenda. So my point is just because you just brought up memes and how clumsy they are with memes. This is the power of memes. They don't understand. This is something that AI can't combat yet, at least, right? This is something that brings people together and creates movements, like, it's Trump standing in front of the flag with blood in his face, that kind of stuff. I mean, but there's all kinds of memes that making fun, humor. These are just things that these mechanized robots of globalism, these Klaus Schwabs, can you imagine Klaus Schwab coming up with a funny meme? Can you imagine Hillary Clinton coming up with a funny, witty meme? Like, whenever these people try to come up with funny memes, it's cringe, and it's obvious that they have no clue what's going on. So, can you imagine Joe Biden, for that matter?
Even before he was demented. Give him the credit there. Even before he was demented.
Joe Biden is actually, he was always very shallow and stupid, even before it was stupid. I remember maybe it was 2010 or so. Somebody, like, we were hanging out with some friends and somebody quoted Joe Biden, and we started with some smarty sounding quote. And we all started laughing our asses off for at least an hour. We were laughing really hard about the fact that he quoted Joe Biden, and he himself started laughing about it too, right? Because the man has nothing profound to say. And I read an article recently, forgot where I read it, but it was also the Joe Biden from decades ago, maybe when he was vice president. It was some banquet. He was together with a bunch of other important people, media, donors here and there. And somebody brought up a topic, and Joe Biden just started off the cuff started talking about it. It was obvious to everyone that he's the kind of person who, you give him a topic, he just starts talking and making shit up. And we've seen this often. We've seen him make up the story about corn pop, stories about him being at the footsteps of the Himalaya with Chinese president or Chinese Communist Party chairman or whatever. It's just like the media whitewashes it, covers it up. But this is a guy who's used to, his entire career, prides himself on being able to just
make shit up,
complete horse shit off the cuff when a topic comes up in front of a crowd. And it was super uncomfortable that moment, the author of that article describes, because he wouldn't stop talking. He just kept on talking. And people were looking at each other. It was super awkward. So this is the kind of mentality that's kind of over. People don't. It doesn't work anymore. Scripted, mechanical attitudes don't work anymore. And memes are a great expression of the antidote to that. And art, actual real art, is an expression of antidote to the human creativity, human almost maybe clumsiness, imperfection. Is an antidote to that. It goes against the perfect mechanization and profit loss calculation. Everything has to be hyper optimized. Does it really? Like with COVID, I think, like the lockdowns, before the COVID lockdowns, they acted like, oh my God, the inflation spikes up 0.1%. We have to fight it with an interest hike by so and so much. We have to keep this tender plant of the economy flourishing, and the tiniest little thing here and there. Oh my God, the consumer spending has dropped down mildly in California there. And this seemed to be super important. With COVID, suddenly they shut everything down, didn't give a fuck about any of this at all. So it kind of shows you that this was all bullshit. It's like this economy, this perfect economy where we hyper optimize everything. And so, mechanized industrial scale food production is so much better. Not really, I guess. I think maybe it is better to go back to the roots in some regards, in some matters at least. Maybe it is good to grow some of your own food. And it's not perfectly effective and efficient. It doesn't fucking matter if it's perfectly, because it never really mattered that much, as they were trying to make it look, at least.
Yeah. That is a good point about the food, where it's like, okay, what, less than 1% of the population works in food now? Let's say it has to go up to 2%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Oh no, then they can't all be working on building another AI super data center and another super NSA data Hoover center. Jacques Ellul brings this up in the technological society also. At one point, you just have to stop and look at all this technological progress that you're achieving and ask yourself, to what end? To what end are we doing all this? And now it seems to become more obvious that the end appears to be to allow the NSA to create gigantic data centers and allow the CIA to spy on everyone. Allow the hyper.
So then they can bring in the domestic terrorist legislation to ping whoever they want out of the system. Yes.
Well, to come ultimately to achieve a social credit system, right, where they don't even need to charge you with anything anymore. They just push a button, and everything just is digitalized. So now your bank account's shut down. Now you're not able to join the gym anymore. Now you're not able to go to school anymore. Now you're not able to do anything, and you don't buy anything, go to the grocery store, just because somebody pushed a button somewhere. So that's the perfect hyper.
Or the AI pushes the button. That's the scarier part, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't have like a human deciding that you don't get to exist in society anymore. It's just an AI doing it.
Right. So because when I was reading the Technological Society, this whole time was annoyed. I was like, well, what do you want though? What is it though? At the end of the book, towards the end of the book, he points out, well, I want for things to stay a little more human, stay a little more clumsy, stay a little more spiritual, appreciate the inefficiency of human life, appreciate the arts and the unquantifiable things in life. So, because the whole book sounds so black-pilled if you read it. It's just black pill. But then he says, but here's the antidote to that. It's like, don't forget about your humanity. And it sounds like such a cliche, but I think that's another aspect of today's consciousness awakening. People are realizing that more. I think that today's Gen Z and the young kids today who are in front of the computer all day, I think they may just be super bored by computer games and online presence and all this stuff when
I would believe that, yeah.
In their 20s.
If they could actually learn how to go out and meet people, because that's one of the comments I see when the boomers make fun of them, where they're like, we don't know how to go out. We're terrified of going out. Like, I mean, right when we were supposed to learn it, like these lockdowns happened. And before that, you gave us all a bunch of iPads and computers. Yeah. We have no idea how to socially interact with anybody.
Yeah. And in the moment when they were exposed to this harassment, this maltreatment, the consequences weren't apparent yet. But as they grow up and recognize that their social ineptness is a result of that, they will change course, I think. They will change their mind, the attitudes about a lot of these things.
Yep.
And music, I mean, look, the music, it just sucks so much. The music that's all digital today.
The music sucks, the movies suck, the video games suck. Am I missing something?
Yeah, and it's all because it's so mechanical now. But the music, actually, I just heard this recently on Sam Tripoli's podcast, I think, is that there's some guy who says that that the music, the analog music of the past had a different impact on people than the digital music has. There's something in the...
I might be able to answer that.
Yeah, there's something in the digital recording medium where the music loses its magical appeal and its magical powers and its magical attraction that it used to have on people. And
do you have your guitar handy?
Yeah.
Grab it. I just watched a video relevant to what you were saying. And I got to look up the word I want to use. It's not tremolo. It's... I thought he said he had that handy. That's not handy. Okay, there we go.
I thought yeah.
I forgot the word, but play a note and... God, what the hell do you call it when you don't change frets, but you move your finger back and forth so you get a little bit of wave out of the note? Yeah, you remember what that's called?
That's a bend. You bend.
No, I mean, like in music generally, you do that with almost any instrument.
I forgot.
Tremolo is what's coming to my head, but I don't think it's tremolo. Tremolo is going back and forth between two notes really fast, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So anyway. That sound that Nima's making. So this is the video that I was watching. Is he was pointing out that most singers today, they use an auto-tune for the voice, right? Now, when you compare that to the instrument, like what Nima just played, he made it obvious. However, even if he's not trying to do that, at some level that's happening all the time, right? There's always a little bit of fluctuation to the note, depending on how your finger's moving around on that fret and holding the string down. Yeah, you emphasized it on that one.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what the guy was pointing out is that before, if we were going to play Wish You Were Here, which is what you just started, that the singer would be attenuated, his voice would be attenuated to the fact that the instrument isn't always on pitch. So his voice he has to learn how to get his voice to move with the fact that the instrument isn't exactly on pitch. But now these auto-tune programs put the person's voice exactly on pitch when the instrument isn't, right? And you use the word magic. I don't know a better word to describe it. There's magic lost.
For sure.
But by forcing the perfect pitch, it's optimized. Using the terminology that we just said, it's optimized, it's perfect, it's right, exact, but that's not what the music needs, right? There is a flux in the music. So
right. So the digital world just knows ones and zeros. It's perfect, right? It's perfectly sterile. And the analog world has imperfections and has sort of in-betweens. And that kind of gets lost with the digital. So the guy on this podcast was saying that before, when everything was like on records, they would meet up and hang out at his house and just listen to music and chill out. And when CDs come out, that all stopped. People just didn't feel like hanging out and listening to CDs anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, even now, I just look for shit on YouTube or Spotify, right? And I've noticed this a couple times. I really don't listen to music that much anymore.
Yeah.
And if I do, I'm pulling up something from what I used to listen before.
Everything's at your fingertips now.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it meant something when you owned a record, right? You owned that thing, and it meant something.
Well, I'll say this about my kids. This has been fascinating. So my kids don't even really understand what a movie is. They're 4 and 5 years old, right? So we try to control their screen time every day. They're somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour every day. We were thinking originally about giving them no screen time, but at the same time, we're like, well, they do live in modern society. They got to know how this stuff works, right? So what we've noticed is that because they're so used to being able to switch videos and find almost anything that you could possibly want, the few times we have attempted a movie, sometimes movies are a little slow getting started. You know what I mean? And there's a commitment. They're just like, I want to change videos. Right. And my wife and I are like, no, it's a movie. We're sticking with it. And they just have no concept of what that is. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the equivalent on YouTube would be a long-form podcast like this one right now versus shorts, which we're also, trying to
figure out. Even though they disgust us, yes.
But no, I think the shorts is a good idea because I notice myself, like when I'm on Instagram, right, and I see like a short, a person talking, giving his opinion in a short, I suddenly recognize that person as an influencer and as an authority, as somebody who has to say something. And I started feeling the same way when I started seeing your shorts, which I never got that feeling when I saw our podcast because it takes a while to get into. But you have a succinct opinion on a topic in a short. Oh, who is that guy? I want to see more of him. So there's something to that for sure.
There is something. I will still, however, lament it.
Well, for sure. This is our gateway drug, right? To get hopefully.
Right. We're gonna be tweakers soon.
End up in the long form podcast, hopefully.
Yeah. We're gonna be tweakers on nothing but 3-minute TikTok videos.
Yeah, we'll be peddling them in the alleyway in our coats.
Okay, Nima, I think we covered the tide is turning today. Great show.
For sure. Agree.
So
tide has turned officially.
Nima Major and Dylan Moore of Irita TV. Check it out at irita.tv, or what are we at? Video hosting. We're on YouTube. We're on BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey. Or you can check us out on Buzzsprout, because Buzzsprout puts us all on all the different audio. I don't know if all the different ones, but we're on Spotify.
Yeah, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. And if not, let us know. Because we're very mad at Buzzsprout.
Cool. Well, thank you, Nima, and thank you for everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.